Hey guys, Forrest here at Ray Sport Marine in Moorhead, Minnesota. Just wanted to take a few minutes to kind of go over how I got my boat all set up and rigged out for this year. I ran this boat all last summer, so I'll kind of go over everything I liked, everything I didn't like, things I might change, just to maybe give you some inspiration or ideas if you're setting up a boat for yourself or if you got one on order for this coming spring. So let's get started. So as you can see, I'm running the 1875 Pro Guide again this year. I've ran a couple of these now and I absolutely love them. For the area that I fish and how I like to fish, I think they're pretty much the perfect boat. Wide open layout, tons of storage. I can take it on little 200-acre crappie lakes, or I can take it out on Lake Superior. I can really do anything with this boat, so I really love the versatility, the storage. Can't say enough good things about these Pro Guides. Something I did a little differently on this Pro Guide compared to my last one. When I ordered it with the tandem axle trailer. So this is the custom Lund Guard trailer. That's the option when you go to order it. So that means it's got the Lund Guard coating on the trailer, kind of a bedliner style coating, the diamond plate custom fenders, and nicer alloy wheels. So really nice looking trailer, really dresses up the boat. I think it looks really sweet with the nice wheels and fenders. The single axle trailer is plenty of trailer for these boats. My last one was on a single axle and I pulled it all over the place. Montana, Lake of the Woods, you name it, never had an issue. But with how much highway travel I do, I kind of wanted the extra security of the tandem axle. So it pulls really nice, really smooth. I've got that security in case I do lose a bearing or a tire in the middle of nowhere. I can kind of limp it to a shop on that second axle. And I think it looks really nice. So something I would definitely recommend at least looking into if you're ordering a boat. Kind of a nice upgrade. Another option or upgrade that I chose on this one when I ordered it is the U-Flex hydraulic steering. So this boat, the standard setup or standard option would be just manual steering, which is basically the tiller handle bolted directly to the motor, which is just fine. I had a 1825 Pro Guide a few years ago that had that system, and I can run it just fine. The hydraulic steering is nice if you're doing a lot of long runs, stuff like that. It takes away a lot of that fatigue that you get from running a boat, 10, 15 miles at a time. With the hydraulic steering, it's gonna lock that motor wherever you leave it. So if I'm driving across the lake, I don't have to be kind of holding that motor in place. The hydraulic system's gonna hold it for me. Makes it a lot easier to steer. It's really nice if you're back trolling into the wind. If I'm going to net a fish or reel one in, I don't have to keep fighting that motor. I let go of it and it'll stay right where I leave it. So really nice upgrade. It really adds to kind of the experience of driving the boat. It makes it a lot easier. So another thing I would really look into, it's one of those things that's not really a must-have, kind of a nice creature comfort, but it'd be really hard for me to not have it after having it. So onto the Transom of the boat here. On any tiller, I would recommend splash guards. These ones are made by Wave Whacker. There's a couple companies out there that make them, Walleye Masters, White Cap, Wave Whackers. They're all nice, kind of personal preference. I've had good luck with these, so that's a must-have on any tiller boat. Keep you dry when you're back trolling. As you can see, I've got two transducers on the back here. That's kind of an uncommon setup for what we're doing nowadays. The reason I did that, they're both identical transducers, both Humminbird Mega side imaging. And basically what that gives me is the ability to side image clearly without having to tilt the motor up. So previously, and what we have on most setups is just a single transducer. Then off one side, you have a clear unobstructed view. Off the other side, if your motor is tilted all the way down, it's kind of blocking that side of your transducer view. So, not a big issue. You can just trim your motor up a little bit and see just fine. I'm kind of lazy and I didn't want to trim my motor up all the time, and I wanted the clearest view possible. So I've got two side imaging transducers. The left transducer is only looking off to the left, and the right one is only looking off to the right. So I've got the clearest picture possible. All you need is a Humminbird Y cable. Pretty easy to rig up. You just got to purchase a second transducer, but kind of nice. I don't have to ever trim the motor up. I can leave it trimmed down all the time when I'm idling around looking for fish. So it gives me a little more clear picture too, so my side imaging quality is really good. Stainless 4-blade on this boat. They come standard with a 17 pitch, either aluminum or stainless. I dropped mine down to a 15 pitch just because I like having a little more hole shot, a little more power out of the hole. Not as concerned with top speed. So Lund recommends a 17, so that's what I would always recommend going with. But if you're a person that wants to play around with props, the 15 I've had pretty good luck with. Also, I'm running a Talon this year. My last couple Pro Guides have had a bandage on the back. Now with all the different styles of fishing where most of them do it is up on the front of the boat, live scope and stuff like that up front, I'm not spending as much time on the back trolling with advantage. The back trolling that I do anymore, I use the big motor, so I'm with the Talon. 10-foot Talon on a tilt bracket. Even though this is only a 10-footer and it's not even any higher than the motor, I would always go with the tilt bracket just for the fact of if you get stuck in the mud or the Talon won't come back up, if you lose power or something, you can always tilt it into the boat and at least get back onto the trailer. So no matter what, I would always go with the tilt bracket. Been really happy with the Talon. This is the first one I've had. I use it a little bit for spring crappie fishing, some of the walleye stuff I do. Where I find the most use for it is just at the dock, at the landing. I don't have to beach the boat real hard. I don't have to tie it up with buoys or anything like that. Pull up to the dock, spike it down, and you're done. So, been really, really handy. I'll probably get another one on my next one. I've been really enjoying it. So, something to think about if you're looking to add a couple more accessories to your boat. So back at the console of the boat here, I'm running 2 Humminbird Helix units, both 10-inch. These are both side imaging units, but if you were networking everything together, you would only need pretty much one side image and the other one could be just a base model. I'm running 2 side imagings just because that was what was available at the time when I was rigging the boat. How I run mine and how I like to set it up is my left side, I do a split screen with mapping, 2D sonar, and down imaging. And then my right side screen is pretty much strictly side imaging. So I've got a full 10-inch screen for my side image view. I find that to work really well for how I like to fish and what I like to be able to see with my electronics. And I find 2 10-inch units gives me enough screen space to really split everything up on one side and not get too small while still having a big screen on my right for side imaging. So that seems to work really well. I really like that setup. Otherwise at the console here, I've just got standard analog gauges. They do offer the option for SmartCraft, but I didn't go with that this year. An upgraded stereo because I like to listen to music going across the lake. One little tweak I did on mine that I've done on my last one as well is the electronics locker, which is a really cool feature from Lund. Allows you to bolt your graphs onto this carpeted piece and then tuck it all back into this compartment. When I've got them on these big Cisco mounts, it doesn't fit back in the compartment, which is fine with me. I want to be able to have them up high, a little closer to me, so I'm okay with losing the capability of getting them down into that locker. What I did, because I'm never going to use that locker for the graphs, is in place of the little latches that Lund normally uses, I just put a bolt on either end to make this really rock solid. And then I just use this compartment instead for tackle trays. So I can fit 8 or so of the big 3700 trays in there. Gives me a lot of extra tackle storage. And my graphs are really secure. If I was really worried about them and I wanted to take them off the boat, it's just as simple as taking off the mounts or taking off the gimbal screws and popping the graphs out. So this works nice for me. Electronics locker is really nice. You just have to mount your graphs directly onto the board or use a different style of mount. So one thing to think about, see, the locker's nice. I just like having the extra tackle. Up at the bow of the boat here is where I got all the really cool stuff. So I'm running a 36 volt, 112 pound thrust, 60-inch Ultrex. On that Ultrex, I've got a Live Scope Plus, the LVS 34 transducer mounted right onto the trolling motor shaft. This allows me to look around with the trolling motor instead of having to use an external pole. I really like that for the ability to use my foot to look around and have both hands free for fishing. I don't have to try to cast, move a pole, cast again, move a pole. I can track my bait as I'm reeling it in. Even if the boat's moving, I can use my foot to kind of line up right on that bait. So I really like that for how I like to fish and what I've been doing. There are times when a pole would definitely be better. If I'm spot locked on a rock pile or something that's downwind of me and I want to be able to cast with the wind, the pole would be nice. So there's not one solution for everybody. There's not one set way that you have to do it. This is what I've found I really like. So if you're looking at a live imaging setup, definitely consider an Ultrex, unless you're someone that likes to do a lot of spot locking, a lot of looking to the side, or whatever. The pole might be better. So a couple ways to do it. This is just what I like. And then up front, I've got a Garmin 1222 GPS map, 12-inch screen, and below that, another Helix 12-inch unit. So my Helixes, the 2 in the back and the 1 up front, those are all networked. So anything, my side imaging on the transom, all my map, my waypoints, sonar information. That all shares up the front graph. I do have a Lake Master chip in here too, so I can see my maps and everything. So when I'm fishing, I can see side imaging off the back. I can see 2D off the trolling motor head, my live scope as well. So I've got a pretty good coverage of everything around the boat with this setup here. And I'll show you how I got these mounted. It's a really cool electronics mount, super solid. But I'll show you that. So my graphs I've got on a fin gear double mount. It's the 4-inch model. I've been really happy with it. Kind of a good way to get the graphs popped up off the floor. Stacks them up really nice. One modification I did was I added a little 6-inch section of track, and then in the bottom of this fin gear mount I drilled and tapped 2 holes for thumb screws. So if I want to take this whole assembly off, I just take these 2 thumb screws out, whole thing slides off, and I can throw it in the truck or in a compartment in the boat. But it's been solid. I drive down the road just like that. If I'm leaving it in a parking lot or something, of course I take the graphs off, but works really slick. I thought about mounting it down on the floor, but I wanted it up as high as possible for being able to see the graphs as much as possible. But only downside is when you're driving the boat, kind of blocks the the driver's view a little bit, so I kind of got to look around it. But other than that, it's been worked super well. So with all that accessories, my live scope, 4 graphs and everything, you need a lot of power to run it. So my setup, I've got a standard Group 24 lead acid just for my starting battery. You know, that'll start the motor that runs things like my live well, radio, lights, stuff like that. And then all the big stuff, so my graphs, live scope, that's all off a lithium battery. And this is a 100 amp hour lithium deep cycle. So that'll run all the electronics in the boat for a full day, no problem. That's been working really well. If you're running any more than 2 or 3 graphs, especially the big screens, once you start getting into the 10 and 12s, especially once you start adding things like the live scope, black box and stuff, I would definitely look into, at a minimum, an accessory battery like a deep cycle. The nicest way I think is the lithium. They just run really nice power, long life on them. So not a must-have, but something to look into if you're adding a lot of accessories on your boat. So that pretty much covers how I've got this thing all rigged out and set up for this year. Like I say, I've got 1 summer on this one so far, and I've been really, really enjoying it, how I've got it set up. I'll run it again this summer and then probably flip it and do another one. So if you got any questions for me at all as far as how I set things up, why I set things up a certain way, if you're rigging up your own boat and have any rigging questions, shoot me a message, give me a call, whatever. I'm on all the Lund boat owners Facebook pages, stuff like that. I can be reached at the store here, 218-287-9100. But yeah, summer will be here soon, so excited to get out on the water.